Welcome to Smart Finance 360, the podcast where money matters meet innovative thinking. Every week, we dive deep into the world of finance, exploring trends, debunking myths, and bringing you the latest insights from industry experts. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a financial newbie, or somewhere in between, this is your go-to source for becoming financially savvy. Welcome to another episode of Smart Finance 360. We have Alysja call here. She is becoming a CPA. So a big thing I wanted to talk about is there's a lot of people out there that have no idea, myself included, how can I become a CPA? So for you, what was kind of your journey at first? What kind of inspired you to become a CPA? You told me a little bit earlier that we were talking about you were doing pre-med before, but kind of what kind of happened there? What was kind of the transition of everything that's happened?
Yeah, well, I realized that I wanted to become a mother eventually. And when I started, I didn't have any prospects.
Gotcha. That's great. So your mother, how many kids do you have?
I have 3 children.
Oh, awesome. And how old are they?
My oldest is 25, and it's a boy. And then I have a girl, 22, and another girl who's 20.
Oh, that's great. So were you doing school before and then you became a mother and then you circled back, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, I was in school and met my husband while we were getting our bachelor's. Okay. And kind of did the typical thing at the time, where you get married and you put your husband through and then you go back. But a lot of times what happens is women realize that motherhood is such a full-time job.
Oh, yeah.
That
2 full-time jobs.
It's a lot of work, and so it's hard to go back to school. But it was always a goal of mine and my husband's.
That's awesome. When did you go back to school?
I went back. I started back in kind of slowly, and it was about 2016.
Okay, cool.
Just taking a couple of classes, kind of testing the water, and with the support of my husband, I was able to jump in full and finish. I got my bachelor's in 2019 and my master's in 2020.
Oh, that's great. So you're on your journey to become a CPA. Does it matter what kind of degrees you can get to become one? Like, what are the prerequisites to become a CPA? What do you have to do?
Okay, so to become a CPA, you have to take the CPA exam.
Okay.
But to be able to take the CPA exam, you have to have 120 hours of accounting.
Gotcha. Whether classes. It be at classes and job or just classes?
Classes.
Okay.
And so you can't sit for the CPA exam unless you've basically got a bachelor's.
Okay.
And that changes from state to state, but Utah right now is 120 hours,
20,
which is about a bachelor's.
So it's about a bachelor's degree in accounting or accounting classes.
In accounting, yeah.
That's great. And so did you get your bachelor's degree in accounting?
I did.
That's cool. And then when you said you got your master's, what did you get your master's in?
I got my master's in MTax. It's a master's of taxation.
Okay.
There aren't very many of those programs.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that program. What is it?
It's done through Weber. It's the only one in Utah is through Weber. There are definitely more around.
Yeah, for sure.
But it just focuses on tax and tax planning rather than all of the other CPA.
Yeah, so it focuses on tax and tax planning. What's kind of the difference between just the normal every year, I got to do my taxes, got to, submit my W-2 or submit whatever I have. What kind of what entails that with the tax planning? What's kind of the whole program for clients? Can you kind of tell me a little bit how that works?
Let's see, like what you mean is
just with that master's degree, what does that end up like for application, I guess, for clients, experience and stuff like that?
So for the master's, obviously you get to pick between classes. Mm-hmm. So there's several ones that you can actually take. But I took like retirement.
Okay.
And I took state taxes, which are, you couldn't ever do that with just the amount of time. There's so many different states, but Basically what it does is it tells you that you could never do that. So
Yeah, I got what
you
you're
at least
saying.
know your limits.
Now you know. Yeah. At least gets you in the right direction, right?
Yeah, yeah. You learn a lot more about business, a lot more in the business taxes. There's a lot
Really
to know
good.
there.
There's a lot of
so
nuance to it.
It's in depth there.
With that nuance of business taxes, tell me a little bit about what is kind of, I would say, essential for a self-employed client to use a CPA. What are the benefits of using a CPA for a self-employed person?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I think anybody who's self-employed should use a CPA. I know there's a lot out there that know that
I agree.
know a lot, and a few of them actually do quite well at doing their own taxes. Majority of them are just trying to save money. And
yes,
to be honest, most of the people that we have done taxes for, they pay us a fee, but with what we understand and know and can save them,
they end up saving way more money using
they
a CPA.
save more. Very rarely do they
That's
pay
not
more.
opinion. That's a fact. I've seen it time and time again.
It's true.
There are maybe the savvy ones that can do the self-serve taxes, but what I've seen, there's pros and cons to both. So obviously, sometimes the pro could be on self-serve. Maybe you could save that fee in your mind, right?
Right.
Or you can have a little more control if you're just doing it. Maybe they're a doer. Maybe they do know, like you said, they're savvy enough, they can do it. But the cons, there's a lot of cons there. There's, if you're doing it yourself, like you can only know what you can know. Like a CPA, like you said, has an accounting degree, possibly a master's degree. They've passed a series of tests and they know the laws, they know the tax breaks, they know how to help you. Whereas you only know so much as a business owner yourself, and you only have so much time as a business owner yourself. So I've seen so many more pros to use a CPA compared to cons. I've seen it across the board, especially when buying a house, right? When you're buying a house, it's really nice to be able to talk to your CPA, talk to your loan officer as well when you're self-employed, just to get a good game plan of how you want to structure and do your taxes. Some people want to get aggressive and they want to, write off some things, buy a lot of assets for their company first.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's nice to talk to a CPA first to say, hey, should I buy all these assets first, or should I save and, and pay my taxes and show my income here and pay so I can afford this mortgage this way. And so I always tell people that if you're self-employed, please use a CPA. It makes my life so much easier. My CPA has so many more, insights that I had no idea existed of great legal things I can do to not only save money, but also make my business better. Like, I really like that on that piece. So the benefits outweigh so much more to become when you're self-employed to use a CPA. So for you on how to become a CPA, so you said you gotta have a degree, which is up to 120 hours-ish in Utah. Do you have to have a master's, or can you just get a degree and then pass the test?
You have to have a master's, basically, to...
Gotcha. So if you're looking to become a CPA someday, you're probably going to want to be looking at least 5 or 6 years of school that you're going to want to go to college.
It takes about 5. Yeah, about 5.
And then tell me a little bit about that test. You said there was a little bit of changings this year for the Utah exam for CPA. What's kind of entails on that?
So each test, so you take 4 tests.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of tests, and each test is about 4.5 hours long.
Wow. So the tests are 4.5 hours long. Can you take one back to back to back if you want? Can you take one this day? Do they have like a set time that you have to wait to take the other ones?
With the new changes, they have changed how you can take them. You could, most likely you could take them back to back to back, but they do have windows that you can take. They have what they call the core.
Okay.
Information, and then they also have the new information, which
do you have to take all 4 tests, or can you have a specialized
No, you have to take all 4. There's right now there is 6 tests.
Wow.
Like a month ago there was 4 tests.
Okay.
And so now there's 6.
So it went from 4.
So
now you need to prepare that there's going to be 6 tests if you
but you only need to take 1 of the last 3 tests.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it doesn't matter what order you take them in. You can take them whatever order you want. You just have to pass them all.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think there's tests to become a loan officer. There's tests to become a real estate agent. There's all these other tests as well. I think it's important that people have to and I'm a terrible test taker myself. So, to become a loan officer, I failed my first time by 1 point. They're not easy, the tests.
Right.
I can't imagine how much harder. I'm not trying to make people feel that I want to become a CPA that are listening to this. I don't want to discourage them, but listen, it's a great thing to be able to be that's why CPAs are so amazing, because they've done the tough work, they've done the things they need to do, and they know their stuff. And so I actually appreciate that there are really good standards to become a CPA. So that's cool. So I mean it's good to know that our financial institutions are in good hands by the CPAs have a good process. So a quick recap: you want to have at least 20 hours. You'll probably a bachelor and master's degree, and then you're going to prepare for a series of tests. Once you're done with those tests, are there further specializations that you can do and focus on? Like, for example, a top of my head could be, we got forensic accounting, right? You got forensic CPAs, or is there different types of fields that you have to take different tests for? How does that work?
There's different trainings that you can take to specialize in certain areas like forensic accounting.
Yeah.
A lot of that is we have to have continuing education every year.
Okay, so there is CE.
Yeah, and there's a lot for accountants. I know my husband's in the medical field, and we have double the amount that the medical field has.
Dang.
So there's a lot, but a lot of that is because the field changes every year with new laws.
It's true. So you got to adapt on that piece.
Yeah.
So for you, I mean, why did you to decide to become a CPA? What was kind of your deciding factor of I want to be a CPA?
I enjoy logic.
Mm-hmm.
I do better, I should say. I do better with logic rather than the English language was always a little foreign to me, even though that's the only one I speak.
I see what you're saying, though.
Yeah. So, and that's what a lot of people think, that accounting is you have to be good at math, and you have to have basic math skills for sure, but a lot of it is just logic, puzzling together, lots of
critical thinking.
And then knowing the laws.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that. So.
And so it's something that if you like to figure out a puzzle, CPA would be a great job, because there's a lot of different things that you have to do that you'll enjoy in order to, you got to get creative at times, and it's really nice to have that financial support as a self-employed or even a W-2 person that wants to buy an investment property. It's great to call your CPA and get a rundown of what can I do. So I think the biggest thing, that I wanted to preface here is that it's really cool if now we know how to become a CPA. So that's great. And then the second thing is that it's really important to use a CPA if you're self-employed, or if you're a W-2, you work for a company, because you're going to save money. It's just they've been through a series of testings and education. They've done all these things to help you. It's the same thing I say with financial advisors. It's like, hey, look, you can try to go to the open market and do it yourself, but these guys have a series of trainings, schooling, and things that they have to pass. It's just going to be a lot easier said and done. And on my side, on the loan side, having a good CPA changes everything, because the way the underwriter looks at the taxes, they can tell, oh, wow, you got a good CPA because they did it right, they did it correct. And we see the strategies that they did, that, oh, this was a great strategy for them to be able to add back in depreciation, because we can count that on the loan side. So there's different rules on what we can count on the loan side compared to what CPAs do for helping people save taxes when they're filing their taxes. So there's different write-offs that we can actually add back in on the loan side that, and it's really cool to have a CPA that knows that. So they suggest certain things for their clients, say, hey, you can write this off, but you can also add this back in if you want to buy a house. Whereas if you were to do that yourself, you don't know that possibly, and you could miss out on being approved. And I've seen so many scenarios in my career of nightmares of people that did a self-serve tax and they didn't add what they could be which example I use is depreciation. It's like you could have easily written this off as depreciation. They wrote off their taxes in a different avenue, which was the same result for saving their taxes on the tax side for saving or getting a refund. But on the mortgage side, I couldn't add back in depreciation because you didn't write it off. You didn't have any depreciation.
Oh, yeah.
They should have talked to a CPA.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of the savings are in the planning.
Yes, exactly.
And we do work often with loan. We prefer to work with them instead of against them.
Yes, that's the biggest thing. A lot of times I tell people as well is like, hey, when you're done filing, you're about ready to file your taxes, if there's any way I could look at it as well and talk with your CPA, because the CPA sometimes doesn't know the game plan of what you're trying to do if like, they're trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
Like I had a phone call this other day with a CPA and I said, hey, they're trying to get qualified for this much amount. What some certain things that they needed to do? Is there any other, strategies that we can figure out for them to be able to, kill two birds with one stone? And the CPA is able to figure that out. So it's really important to have that. And I do appreciate every single time I see a self-employed client getting a loan. When they have a CPA, I'm like, thank you. So happy because I know I have a professional I can call and talk to. Because a lot of times I'll tell people too that like, hey, look, when you're getting a loan and the underwriter is asking for something that the CPA could probably have on the spot for you, self-serve companies, it's going to be a battle to get that. So that's another really important thing for people to know and understand. So, well, geez, you're great. Alysja, thank you so much for being on this. They're quicker podcasts, but any last things you'd like to say as far as, I always ask, what's your why? Why do you like doing it? And I liked that you said, you like to, it's basically to critically think and put the puzzle together. But is there anything last things you'd like to say about, the benefits of using a CPA?
I guess just to reemphasize that getting your financials together and having them be accurate will definitely be a boon to you if you want to grow. I think that we can get people's paperwork for their businesses and look at it and say, you know what, this person is going to thrive.
Yes.
Or this person may stay in business, but it's going to be an uphill battle the whole time, just because the financials are a big key to understanding your business. And if you can understand what's going on in your business financially, then you know what you need to do to make it thrive and what you need to do. If there's a downturn in the economy, you can understand where you can save or where you can push. So CPAs help with that. Bookkeepers help with that. Mostly CPAs can look at that and when they do your taxes and say, okay, this is what we need to do. So just the planning alone, I think, is a reason to go to a CPA if you're self-employed. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't. I love that. Mic drop right there. You don't know what you don't know. That's the smartest thing. Please use a CPA because you just nailed it on the head right there. It's exactly peace of mind that you can understand, evaluate where your business is heading, where your business could go, and they can just have so much more arsenal of ideas to help you grow. So thanks so much, Alysja, for being on. If you ever want to become a CPA, this is a great podcast for you to listen to.
Thank you so much for having me.